on the line with us, we have General Blaine Holt. And, well, there's nobody better than him. I found him to be very reliable and really getting the information out. General, where do you want to start this morning? It's early in the morning, and the sun is trying to shine. What's going on?
Well, it's going to shine, John. Thanks for having me on. But, man, do we have a royal mess in the geopolitical realm or in foreign affairs. As we knew we would, President Trump's strategy is not very much appreciated in Tel Aviv right now. And it's got to be, we seriously got to work out these misalignment problems with our ally Israel.
Well, Israel has to do what they have to do. And right. I think Trump understands that. Americans understand that, and I understand it. And if the Hezbollah attacks them, what I would do if I was Israel, I'd attack them twice as bad. And you do what you have to do. And, Trump may say, naughty, you shouldn't have done that. But bottom line, Israel has to do what they have to do.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. They are, in a survival sense, having to defeat Hezbollah. But what I'm wondering is how much does Hezbollah have support left, meaning their supply chains, their intelligence? The IRGC is shredded. There's nothing left for them to support Hezbollah with. So I think it falls to President Aoun of Lebanon, where we've got to go, listen, what types of things do we have to do to support you so that you stop any kind of material support that Hezbollah is demanding from Lebanon? Now,
what I said last night, Trump, President Trump says, make my day. That if they continue, or we're sending the ships along the Hormuz coast, and if they attack one of those ships, Trump is going to go in. My opinion. I haven't talked to the president. I don't know what he's going to do, but just my opinion. He's going to go in and knock out. Not going to hurt any civilians. But wherever the, what do you call them? The GC, wherever the IRGC is, they'll knock out every colonel, they'll knock out every major, and he's going to hurt them personally, and that's my opinion. What do you say, General?
I think you're exactly right. If there are colonels and majors even left, they took a hell of a blow last time, but that doesn't mean that there's not more to do. You've heard me say this. I don't think that we get to a final agreement without IRGC leaving the planet. But the concern we should all have is, as a martyr group of psychopaths that only dream of Armageddon leave the planet, then we have to watch for terror cells here as their last calling card. We have to take care of domestic security. And just like the Israelis are taking care of their own security. But I do think that President Trump, memorandum of understanding means we agree that we're going to find a way to get to an agreement. We're just beginning. Diplomatic sausage making is underway. It's unfortunate that the Switzerland meetings are not going to begin in earnest, but I think that they eventually will.
They will. They're taking the weekend off, I guess, in Monday morning. You know what you're going to see Monday morning? Well, Israel shouldn't have done that, but they did what they did, and our talks are continuing. The ships are moving, and the price of oil is going down.
12 million barrels yesterday, and I'm watching the maritime tracker. The ships are rolling through, and that oil is needed. Europe, I can't even begin to explain with the time we have how bad off Europe is now in the energy department. Much of their leadership's own doing, but that's okay. We don't begrudge the European peoples. And then the other thing is we really tried to help out the world by draining down our own stocks. We've got to get healthy again. And so it's very, very good to see the straight.
By the way, I know President Trump. I know him a long time. You know when he's going to fill up the reserves again? When oil is below $50.
It'll be there soon. It looks like it's on its way there.
Hey, General Holt, this is Jake Novak. I just want to talk a little bit more about this breaking news, this attack last night, Hezbollah hitting an Israeli tank, either with an anti-tank missile or a weaponized drone, we're not sure yet, killing the entire crew, including the battalion commander, a lieutenant colonel in the Israeli army. Israel hitting back hard in the Bekaa Valley, as you just said, and John just said. So far, no word from the White House. And I have to tell you, as someone who knows the Israeli political situation very well, if that's going to be the MO going forward, that Israel goes and retaliates for attacks from Hezbollah and there's no word from the White House, the Israelis will be a lot more okay with this deal if that's the way it's going to go.
I think you're right. But I also think there's a lot of back channel diplomacy between Tel Aviv and Washington going on right now. And they're going to define, and this is what we probably should have done at the outset, and I had hoped that they had, is there needs to be joint rules of engagement about how, what, where, when, and how do you neutralize targets. And I think they're going to get on the same page with that. Look, if Israel sees an attack, they've got to go after it. There's no question about that. The other part is logistically now is an opportunity to go finish off Hezbollah by choking off all of their weapon stores and supply chains because the IRGC is so bad off. Or Scott Bessent is tearing up the money laundering that they've been doing from Venezuela into Lebanon. So I'm very optimistic. It's just it's a rough couple of days. We got to get back on the same page with our ally. But I think we're on the path to a very good place. I'm overall very optimistic, but in the short term, we have to all remain very watchful.
Well, I will tell you, knowing Trump, like I said, and all the intelligence agencies listening to this station, they do listen, is Trump is waiting to see you touch one of those ships going through, make my day, because he's going to go in there and blow the crap out of them.
And he'll start the revolution and aid and abet it as well.
Yes.
So we'll see a whole new Iran come together. And I think at the end of the day, you're going to see a new Iranian government. You're going to see a non-Islamic Republic of Iran. That's going to be good for everybody. And people will, after 47 years of being used to these terrorists that are psychopaths, we got to get used to the Iranians as something else. But these are the dangerous days. These are the ones, and that's why the president selected his vice president, taking it that seriously to get this thing across the line. But I think he will.
Yes, absolutely. Let's go to that B-52. Any update on that B-52 going down?
The only thing I can see that's new is that one of the crew members has now come out and made a statement that he had serious concerns about the mission overall going into it. I don't know whether that was aircraft related or that maybe he thought the new equipment going onto the bird was incompatible. But when you take off with an aircraft like that, you're not going to have combat radars engaged until you're up airborne and in a safe regime of flight. So there's a lot more to learn. I'm still interested in how much gas they have because something's wrong. Something
is rotten somewhere because one of the crew's wives was saying that they canceled it 3 times before.
Yeah.
They had 2 Boeing engineers aboard. Something they don't want to tell us yet.
Right. But for overall air safety, we do need to understand something of what happened without them having to divulge classified information. There was nothing left of that airplane. An entire B-52 vaporized. And that's very unusual. But look, if it was full of gas and other things, then maybe I could see it differently.
Is it the type of fuel they were using?
If they had test fuel on board, I have no knowledge that they had any kind of test fuels on board that airplane or sustainable aviation fuel, as they call it. But that there's no wreckage with it descending from not a very high altitude. That's very unusual.
I agree with you. Anything on that Citation jet? The first time a NetJet's plane went down.
Yeah, I just talked to a couple of corporate pilots yesterday. It's kind of looking like what you and I had surmised, that I think we're going to find out that the pilot had a legitimate emergency and an unlandable configuration, but there are ways to mitigate the impact of such an emergency from the cockpit. I wish the crew would have taken more time when they were flying. I wish they would have delayed their decision to come down and get that airplane on the ground. Less fuel is a much better thing when you have an airplane that doesn't have its landing gear anymore, as you well know. You want to drain it on down to whatever the lowest you can stomach is, and then hold it off. And what I will be interested to know is what kind of human factors were happening between the first officer and the captain. What was that conversation like when the black box recordings come out? If we can get access to those, that'll be very helpful. I'm sure for NetJets as well.
Well, General Blaine Holt, thank you so much for everything you've done, and continue to tell our listeners and the American people the truth, and we'll catch up with you again real soon.
I'm looking forward to it. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Sid and Friends in the Morning. You can hear Sid and Friends in the Morning weekday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?